Hey there, Grumpy Old Fart here. I'm doing an advanced Dungeons & Dragons advice video. I'm titling this one, The Living Dungeon. Many players treat underground settings like empty buildings. They bebop down the corridor looking for treasure, heedless of all danger, and this is just stupid. In the first place, all manner of denizens set up hearth and home in underground settings. Any intelligent creature will establish a perimeter. They may set traps or establish guard posts and patrols. If they expect intruders, they will set up ambush points and alarm systems. If player characters are not very careful, they will be caught by a guard patrol, trip a trap, or be ambushed by these defenders. Never assume anything, especially that an underground area is empty. Before I get into this too deeply, if you enjoy my content, it would really help me out if you could hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, share my content, and post a comment or two. Remember, I welcome your comments, even if you disagree with me. Friends can still disagree. And check me out over on Rumble for my political commentary and weekly current events. If you enjoy a good book, check out my author page over on Amazon.com. My pen name is H.L. Anderson. You can find all of my books there, including the one pictured here, Muscle, the role-playing game of classic professional wrestling. I know it sounds weird. It's just pure competition and combat, fantasy combat, in the backdrop of a professional wrestling arena. It is just pure fun. It's a great way to blow off steam. It's a good way for the family to get involved and stick together and have a good time. Back in the day, I don't like modern professional wrestling because it's borderline obscene. But back in the day, the family would sit around the TV and watch professional wrestling together. It was a weekly event for the local territory. That's what I miss, and that's what this game is about. It's for the entire family. You can get your family and friends together and create your own territory right there in your own home. Yeah, I hope everything on my author page is kind of quirky weird, so if you enjoy the quirky weird, check it out. You might find something you like. All right. The Living Dungeon. Whenever you're exploring an underground area, a dungeon, a cavern system, whatever, expect there to be denizens. Okay? When I say the living dungeon, I don't mean that I don't just mean that there are creatures living in there. I mean that the dungeon and the creatures in it react to what the player characters are doing. If that makes sense. Let me see if I can elaborate a bit. Sound and light discipline when you're in an underground area are essential. You got to stay sharp, and you want to explore the area. But if you have infravision, you won't have to worry about the light discipline too badly if all the characters have infravision. But if you're a human or whatever, if you don't have infravision, yeah, you're going to need a light source so you can see what's going on. Otherwise, you're fumbling around in the dark. And light sources are beacons to everything underground. If it lives underground, chances are it's got infravision. Stray, sharp sounds or excited voices echo down corridors. The sounds of battle likewise carry. Any such sounds will alert denizens of the player character's presence. Torchlight can be seen from hundreds of feet away, even though the torch's illumination area is much smaller. So your torch illuminates, 30 feet or whatever the hell it is. That little illumination area. Lanterns are a little more. But those lights can be seen from hundreds of feet away. Keep that in mind. In a dark area, light is easy to see and will raise alarms. I played in a game. This is not a Dungeons and Dragons game. It was a recon game, Vietnam Warfare, and I talked about this in a video. We were exploring a tunnel network, and every 30 feet or so, we ran into a guard. We took each of them out with automatic weapons fire, but that automatic weapons fire underground miraculously did not alert other guards that were just down the tunnel. The game master, in that case it was a mission director, was a novice, and we explained afterwards that noise travels underground, and some of those guards would have been alerted because they would hear the gunfire, and he understood, and he became a much better game master after that. So being a game master, a dungeon master, a mission director, whatever the game is called, whatever the game calls the guy running the game, that is an ongoing learning experience. I've been playing this game for 50 years. I'm still learning. So in Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, armor and swords clash, shields splinter, battle cries and shouts shatter the silence. If you can take a sword wound to the arm or to the gut and not scream, you're one hell of a man. That's all I gotta say. All of these noises will serve to alert any of the denizens. And again, remember your light discipline, because a hooded lantern is nice. It only allows people to see it from it essentially turns your lantern into a flashlight. But and it prevents you from being seen for a lot of the directions from the lantern. But it can still be seen. It's not perfect, but it's much better. A hooded lantern is the way to go. The point of this video is that players who think that the denizens of any underground setting are blind and deaf idiots are asking for a total party kill, a TPK. Any interaction in a dungeon has the adverse effect of possibly alerting everyone and everything in the area to the player character presence. Consequently, the bad guys will be better prepared and may enact plans to ambush or attack them. Traps are not always designed to injure or kill intruders. Some of them just create noise to alert nearby bad guys. Kind of like modern day trip flares. It shoots a flare up into the sky and lights up the area. If you have tin cans, you can string them along a trip wire, and if somebody hits it, it makes noise. Yeah, that's the same concept here. Traps are not always designed to injure or kill. They just some of them are designed to alert someone of your presence. Some traps cause cave-ins, trap the victims, or limit egress through specific passages. Once immobilized, the defenders can use fire, gases, or water to eliminate the player characters. Water traps underground are deadly. Fire traps underground, they need fuel and they need air, so they're not as prevalent, but water traps underground are just deadly. Yeah, if you're trapped in an area that's filling with water and you can't get out, you're going to drown. It's just the way it is. The living dungeon reacts to what the player characters do. It can take steps to eliminate them and changes in accordance with the variable dynamics the players create. Anything the player characters do affects the rest of the labyrinth as the denizens react to them. So you want to create as small a footprint as possible. There's another aspect to this that I didn't really go into in my research, but I need to mention it here because it would be wrong for me not to mention it. They used to have this thing called a wandering monster, and usually it was an orc or a goblin or a bugbear or whatever, or a group of them. And they're wandering through the dungeon doing the same thing the player characters are doing, looking for stuff. And when they run into the player characters, there could be conflict. If your player character party has taken a lot of damage and is hurt bad, or maybe they're out of spells for the day or whatever, sometimes negotiation is the way to go if there's a way to communicate. And sometimes, you wave at them and go the other direction. Sometimes that works. My point is, not every denizen wants to kill you, but every denizen is probably capable and willing to if the need arises. Wandering monsters are just they're happenstance. They're not part of the dungeon per se. They just happen to be there at the same time as you are. Maybe they are part of the dungeon. I don't know. But the point I'm getting at is you could run into them anywhere at any time doing anything. So they could happen upon your camp at night. Who knows? This happened one time to a group that I was running. I wasn't playing. I was running a game, and I rolled a wandering monster at night. They were camped, and they had posted a guard. But this guard, don't ask me why, he was standing next to the fire. Yeah, as I recall, it was chilly, but he had furs. He could have gotten away from the fire and saved his vision, but he was a human, and he didn't have infravision, and he was standing next to the fire. If you're next to the fire, you never look into the fire because it ruins your night vision. Well, this guy was, I'm going to stay next to the fire. I'm just going to stay there. Okay, fine. So this group of orcs happened upon them, and what they did is they saw them, and they said they realized that the only way to go was either back the way the players came or towards them. So they retreated. They rather than attack at night, they retreated and found an intersection where they could set up an ambush. And as I recall, the player characters lost 3 or 4 players there. 3 or 4 player characters. They died in that ambush. It was very effective. And the orcs wanted their stuff. Those are wandering monsters, and they are very prevalent in Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. So if you're doing a dungeon crawl, remember the dungeon probably doesn't want you there as a whole. The denizens there, if they're not at war with each other, they found a way to live in peace, and because even if they're rival groups, they found a way to coexist, and the player characters getting in there change the dynamic. And they won't like it. Just saying. So, even if it's just one big group, they still won't like it. But anyway, nobody likes to be having intruders in their home. That's just the way it is. The whole reason we have the Second Amendment today. So anyway, well, it's the secondary reason, but it works well. And anyway, if anybody else has any more advice, any more information, maybe some stories of wandering monsters or player characters not bothering with stealth in a dungeon, stick that in the comments. I'm sure we'd all love to read it. You folks have a good one. God bless one and all.